advertising. Let me repeat that for y'all. $5 billion in 5 years. 327 million went to minority-owned media companies. 51 million of the 327 million went to black media. So again, 5 billion, 327 million going to minorities, 51 billion of the 5 billion going to black folks, 1%. Congresswoman Norton says she would work with black and minority publishers to press her colleagues in Congress to demand greater spending on minority-owned outlets to reach minority audiences that most traditional outlets do not. The question is, has that been happening? Joining us right now is Dr. Ben Chavis. He's the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. Being glad to have you back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You cannot have a growing media entity if you don't get advertising money. Pure and simple. That is the lifeblood of every media operation. Fox News profits $1 billion+ a year. CNN, some 700 million. MSNBC, 600-700 million. That's profit. They make way more than that. But the reality is, when you start talking about black media, it ain't even close to that because we've been frozen out. This GAO report was important. What has happened in the last 2 years with us starting just now in 2021?
Thank you. Roland, this is a very important issue for all black-owned media. And certainly it's a good thing that President Biden now has put as a priority the question of equity. And once he signs these executive orders, which he has, the question now is how are these executive orders to be implemented? Who's going to ride herd? I understand that Ambassador Susan Rice has been given a responsibility to have interagency oversight. The federal government in 2021 is still the largest single advertiser, over $1 billion. And a lot of that money does not go to black-owned media. So what needs to happen is there needs to be further legislation. Eleanor Holmes Norton's bill was the start to get the study done. Now, after the study has been done, which we always knew these inequities were there, Roland, your last segment was about white terrorism. Well, look, white supremacy has also been in government spending. The denial of black-owned media to be in the advertising budgets keeps our media houses almost in a form of neo-slavery, oppression. And so that needs to be overcome. So I think that while we have a new administration, the Biden-Harris administration, black media now, we must press this course. Because if there's ever a time that we need to get equity, and equity goes beyond equality. Equity is a financial term that means that there will be equal sharing, equitable sharing in the distribution of resources. And right now, there's a long history of the inequities, the long history of the denial of black-owned businesses, in this case, black media business, from getting into the federal budgets of all the agencies. Yeah, if we had fairness, you know, we are almost 15% of the population. Rather than 1%, if we got 15% of federal dollars spending on black media, it would make a difference, a life-supporting difference and sustainability difference for all black-owned media in America.
Well, hell, if black media got just 10% of the $1 billion annually, you're talking about going from a total of 51 million. First of all, 50. Remember, that's 50. To everybody understand, that's 51 million out of the 5 billion, which really means that broke down to about 10 million a year. So you're talking about if you go from 10 million a year to 100 million a year, that's significant, and that's just 10%. But Ben, the thing here that I want to know is that was dropped in 2018. What happened in 2019, 2020? Was there any improvement? Did you see any improvement?
No, we did not see an improvement. In fact, during the Trump administration, there was a denial of what Eleanor Holmes Norton's bill exposed. And so now we have to go back and repress this course now that we have a change in administration. I think the OMB, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Commerce, all these things have to be readdressed, and we got to keep the pressure on. I think everybody is celebrating the new administration, but our celebration now must be translated into concrete, equitable distribution of resources. And again, we're not asking for charity, Roland. This is business. This is one-on-one business.
No. Let's be clear. This is taxpayer money. Black people's money, too.
That's right. We pay taxes, but the distribution of the taxes do not come back to our community. Plus, spending. African Americans spend over $1 trillion in the American economy every year, but very little of that money is turned back into our communities.
But I think also what we have to do is this is actually a multi-level approach, which is what I was talking to Joe Anthony about the other night. And that is what really happens here is, first, the people who get the advertising contracts are the white advertising agencies.
Agencies, that's right.
What the federal government then does gives them complete control over the dollars. So you don't have any real oversight or demands for how they should operate. So then what happens is these white ad agencies then screw the black ad agencies, don't even consider them to be partners when it comes to distributing the money to black media. And as you know, if black ad agency is frozen out, we ain't getting anything. I can tell as somebody who has participated, I have participated in the past 6 months on several phone calls with major white ad agencies. And in the conversations, you can hear them ask the questions in order for them to set you up for them to be able to say, no, we're not going to give you any money. In fact, Congressman Stephen Horsford said on this show and said that Young and Rubicam told him when it came to the census money, they were not going to buy any ads in any newspaper, 50,000 circulation or less. Ben, that's 98% of black newspapers in America.
Exactly. Well, again, it's institutionalized racism. I can put it like you said, Roland. It's institutionalized white supremacy racism. It's institutionalized white supremacy inequities. And so President Biden and Vice President Harris, they're going to be challenged, not only by these white supremacists that are going crazy in the street level, but white supremacy is also in public policy making. White supremacy is also in the regulatory agencies. And these advertising agencies that you mentioned, why do they keep getting all of the federal contracts? And that needs to be looked at because these ad agencies are a fundamental part of the problem.
And so, again, I need for the people at home, because one of the reasons why I'm purposely doing this, I'm going to bring my panel in just a second, and they have questions for you as well, Ben. I'm trying to walk our people through this because I think a big part of this is that our folk don't know. And when I say our folks, I don't just mean the people who are watching. I'm telling you right now, city council members don't know this. County commissioners, state legislators, our CBC members don't know. They go out and they fight for the additional money to be placed in the budgets, but then don't understand what happens once the money is allocated and then how they freeze us out. They don't understand how what some of these white ad agencies will do is go out, hire them 2 Negroes, I'm saying that for a reason, give them a $60,000 or $70,000 consulting contract. Those 2 Negroes are happy. They got them a consulting contract without realizing that they really are screwing the black ad agency out of $30, $40, $50, $60 million. So you took $70 million, you took $70,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 for a consulting contract when, dumbass, you could have got $50 million. Because if you do the numbers, let's take the U.S. Census. Y&R had access to $350 million. Y&R gets the contract. Y&R takes their 15% off the top. Y'all, do the math. That's $42.5 million. Then they assign it to another agency that they own. Then they get their cut. Then they assign to another agency that they own to handle the digital, the print, and the broadcast. They all getting cut. So these $350 million, by the time it gets down to being spent, hell, they already took $100 million.
So Roland, that we need to call them out. But your point about the lack of information and facts steadily, consistently, on a daily basis going to the black community, that's a great point. What I think we should work together, Roland, we need to come out with an equity report card on all the ad agencies, on all the federal agencies, anybody dealing with advertising dollars in the government sector, not on the federal level, state level, municipal level, and county levels. I'm telling you, African-American owned businesses, particularly black-owned media businesses, are being robbed every day because of these inequities.
So, again, for everybody who's watching at home, I'm trying to connect the dots here so people understand what we are dealing with. And what we're dealing with right now is how the system is set up. And then what they then do is they then begin to look into the loopholes, then how to freeze people out. I have called for the Congressional Black Caucus to demand an audit of Young and Rubicam to know where every single media dollar went to go for the United States Census. Every single dollar. And I don't want groupings. I don't want groupings of this is how much minority media got. No. I want to know specifically, here were the media outlets. I want to see who got the most to who got the least. And then I want to see who they identify as black-owned media. Because again, to me, the audit needs to be black. It needs to be minority media. It needs to be black-targeted media, then black-owned media, in order to get a real assessment. And again, don't put MWBE. Don't put white women in this. To me, in order for you to do it right, you got to break the numbers down. And I've been in contact with the Congressional Black Caucus about this because, again, we got to fight the main advertising agencies. But there is no way in hell government agencies should be practicing racism, what you're seeing in private industry. And so that means targeting the federal government, targeting these state governments, these county governments, these city governments, going after each one. And then there should be congressional hearings on Capitol Hill of these ad agencies and how they are screwing over black media. Absolutely.
If there's ever was a strategic time to do what you just said, Roland Martin, it is now. We need to do it now. We don't need to be reactive. We need to be proactive. And we need to, as we say in North Carolina, we need to pull the sheets off these people.
Let's go. Scott Bolden, you represent NNPA. You do work with them on a legal basis. Your thoughts on this issue? I mean, we're talking millions and millions of dollars, and this is the reason right here black media can't grow. This is the reason right here why we don't have newsrooms of 50 and 75 and 100 employees, because, hell, if you don't get the advertising money, you can't hire nobody and build capacity. Mute button, Scott. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm here.
No, they had your audio down. Go ahead.
Okay. Dr. Chair, it's good seeing you. You know, most of our businesses are going to probably be reluctant to take on the ad agencies vis-a-vis private sector, because what Roland just laid out was, you know, they want their piece of the pie too.
But they ain't getting nothing.
You're right. But in their mentality, 50 million, they say, I can't get 50 million, but I can get my 10,000, I can get my 25,000. So Dr. Chavis, my question to you is, in partnering with NABJ and other organizations and going to the Hill to advocate, and I know you do that every year for NNPA, who are your angel investors in the House and Senate and in the White House? Who carries that fight for us against the federal government as you represent the NNPA, and obviously NABJ is out there as well? Who are your angel investors on the Hill that can take this fight and see it through to the end?
Well, Congresswoman Maxine Waters is chair of the Finance Committee. We've had some discussions about this. She has oversight over all the banking and the financial services institutions that also don't advertise with black-owned media. So Congresswoman Maxine Waters is one. But I would also say now, because of the announcement this week by President Biden that Ambassador Susan Rice certainly needs to be called upon. We need to meet with her like ASAP to make sure